High atop the rolling emerald hills, where the stars begin to whisper secrets before nightfall, lived a dragon unlike any other. He was not fierce, nor did he breathe fire to frighten travelers. His scales shimmered like pale moonlight, his eyes glowed like soft lanterns, and his wings, though wide and strong, often folded gently around him like a blanket. His name was Solmir, though the forest creatures simply called him the Sleepy Dragon. Every evening, when the last blush of sunset dipped below the horizon, Solmir would sit upon the cliff's edge, close his eyes halfway, and sing. His voice was nothing like the roars of dragons told in stories. Instead, it was warm, tender, and full of comfort, as if the night itself leaned in to listen. His lullabies drifted through the air, wrapping around trees, settling into nests, and flowing over rivers like soft ribbons of silver. Each note seemed to hush the restless world. Rabbits stopped twitching their ears. Fox kits curled against their mothers. Owls paused in mid-flutter, and even the streams slowed their chatter, as though leaning closer to hear the goodnight song. No one in the forest quite remembered when Solmir began singing. Some whispered that he had once been a fiery dragon, feared by all, who grew weary of loneliness and learned to sing his sorrow into lullabies. Others believed he had been gifted his voice by the moon itself to soothe the earth when darkness arrived. Whatever the truth, there was no denying that his song had become the heart of the forest's night. One evening, when the sky was painted with streaks of purple and gold, a small mouse named Pip hurried up the hill. Pip was a curious little creature who often stayed awake long after his brothers and sisters slept. He wanted to know what made Solmir's song so magical. Hiding behind a daisy patch, Pip listened as the dragon began his nightly melody. The song flowed like a river of dreams. Pip felt his whiskers tingle, his tiny heartbeats slow, and his eyes grow heavy. But Pip shook himself awake. He was determined not to fall asleep until he discovered why Solmir sang. After the last note faded into the velvet sky, Pip squeaked, "Excuse me, Sleepy Dragon?" Solmir opened one glowing eye. "Ah, little Pip, you should be curled in your nest. Why are you here at such an hour?" "I wanted to ask," Pip said bravely, though his voice trembled. "Why do you sing every night? Don't you ever get tired of singing lullabies?" The dragon chuckled softly, a sound like wind rustling through autumn leaves. "Tired? Yes, little one. I grow very tired. But my song is not only for the forest, it is also for me. Singing helps me rest, helps me remember that the night is a friend, not a shadow." Pip tilted his head. "But you're a dragon. Aren't you supposed to be big and scary? Why sing lullabies?" Solmir gazed at the stars. "When I was young, I tried to be what everyone expected of me: loud, fierce, frightening. But all that noise only made my heart ache. One evening, when the moon was bright, I hummed softly to myself, and the world changed. The forest grew quiet. The stars seemed closer, and I felt peaceful. Since then, I have sung each night, not to frighten but to comfort. That, little Pip, is what makes me strong." Pip's eyes widened. He had never thought of strength as something soft and gentle. He felt a warmth in his chest, like a secret gift. The next night, Pip gathered his brothers and sisters, tugging at their tails until they followed him up the hill. "Come, come, you must hear the dragon's goodnight song up close." The tiny mice huddled in a circle, listening wide-eyed. When Solmir sang, they swayed with the melody, their tiny squeaks humming along. Soon, word spread. The hedgehogs, squirrels, deer, and even the shy badgers came to sit near the hill, drawn by Pip's excitement. What once had been a song drifting unseen through the forest became a nightly gathering. Creatures nestled together under the dragon's lullaby, sharing warmth, sighs, and dreams. One evening, as the animals gathered, a storm rumbled in the distance. Clouds rolled like great gray beasts, and lightning crackled across the sky. The forest quivered with fear, for storms often brought broken branches, flooded burrows, and sleepless nights. The animals turned towards Solmir, Would he sing tonight? Could his voice calm the fury of the storm? Solmir lifted his great wings and took a deep breath. His song began low, steady, like a heartbeat. Thunder roared, but his voice did not falter. He sang louder, each note a golden thread weaving peace into the storm's chaos. The animals huddled closer, their fear melting away as the lullaby wrapped around them. The lightning softened, the thunder grew distant, and the rain, though steady, seemed almost gentle, like the sky was singing along. When the storm had passed, the forest sighed in relief. Pip squeaked, "You did it, Solmir! You calmed the storm!" But Solmir smiled slowly and shook his head. "No, little one. The storm calmed itself. I simply reminded the night that it could rest too." The animals cheered, their voices rising together in joy. For the first time, they hummed the lullaby back to the dragon, a chorus of tiny and mighty voices joining as one. Solmir listened, his eyes glistening with quiet tears. Never had he felt so understood, so surrounded by love. From that night onward, the goodnight song was no longer Solmir's alone. The forest itself had learned to sing. Some nights, the owls carried the tune through the treetops. Other nights, the mice squeaked the melody from their burrows. And when Solmir's eyes grew heavy and his voice faltered, the animals sang for him, cradling the dragon in the very comfort he had given them. Years passed, and stories of the sleepy dragon spread far beyond the forest. Travelers came, not to hunt or fear the dragon, but to sit quietly beneath the stars and hear the lullaby that soothed storms and hearts alike. They would return to their villages and kingdoms, carrying pieces of the melody in their souls, humming it to their children before bed. And so, the gentle dragon's goodnight song became a gift to the world. It reminded everyone, whether small as a mouse or grand as a dragon, that strength could be found in softness, that peace could be stronger than fear, and that sometimes the sweetest lullabies could hush even the wildest nights. On the hill where moonlight kissed his silver scales, Solmir would often close his eyes with a smile as the forest sang with him. And with the stars above and friends below, the sleepy dragon drifted into dreams, knowing he would never again be alone.